Well, welcome back to our next edition of What's Up America with Mike Kara, as always, proudly broadcasting from Ocoee, Florida, USA, planet Earth. And my guest today is Billy Payne, who's a great singer, songwriter, musician, performer from Charleston, West Virginia. And he has recorded with Waylon Jennings' band, the Wailers, then the Waymore Outlaws for several years. And he actually made a carving of Waylon Jennings out of wood, which we'll talk about. And he won Star Search in Charleston, West Virginia in 1998, and thus started his very nice career in Nashville. And we do really appreciate, Billy, you taking the time and telling us all about your career and your music. And first of all, we mentioned a little bit already about your background, but can you tell us a little bit about where how you got into music and where your love and passion for music comes from?
Well, I got started just playing around home and stuff like that, and listening to relatives play their guitars, and when I was really young, and so that got me into really liking the instrument, so to speak. But when I was smaller, we had these like 3 channels that we got on our television then, and it did carry the TV shows, That Nashville Music and Bill Anderson Show and Porter Wagner Show. And I got to see a whole lot of country music on those shows, I couldn't miss them. I had to watch them, and it's pretty cool to, for me, I didn't know what I wanted to do then. I just know how much it intrigued me, to be able to watch those shows. And the older I got, the more I got into listening to more singers. And so I guess when my mom and dad bought me a record album of Johnny Cash and called Live at San Quentin when I was in first grade, I think that's when it hooked me finally, to know I wanted to be a singer, because I'm just like every other one out there, just stood in front of the mirror and pretend to be, somebody that was singing, and, or I pretend to be Johnny Cash or somebody like that. But I think it really, I don't know, just opened my mind up about what it would be like to be an entertainer. And but the older I got, I did get out of it for a little while, when I was growing up. I didn't always sit around the house and play guitar. But later on in life, I got back into playing a lot more on the guitar, and I got started playing in the clubs really by accident, I think, because I'd walked in club one evening with a friend of mine to see his wife that was working at this particular club in town. And there was a guy in there I knew my whole life that played music, and I hadn't seen him forever. And he invited me to come play music. And I said, okay, I'll be there. And, then I just figured that it'd be over and done with. I'd forget about it or something. Wasn't anything set in stone. At least I didn't think it was, until my friend that I was with that day, his name is Sam, came and got me and said, "You're going to go play tonight." And that opened up a door to me musically that I would never dreamed would happen. Sam's a real good friend, and he knew I needed something to, get me out there and start playing, because he knew I was capable of playing and singing. And my life changed from that time on when I went out on that Saturday night when he came and got me, and I've been playing ever since, and the things, I didn't try to get into the music business to be successful with it, except for, just having a good time and sounding good. And I mean famous, that's what I'm talking about. I never looked for the famous thing, and then things started progressing, and I started going more playing elsewhere, and that's how it happened.
Oh, great. So, Billy, as we mentioned, your relationship with Waylon Jennings, and we'll say that you actually record and you actually, play with them, after Waylon has passed. But one of the things I mentioned, that I was reading about that seemed like really interesting, if you don't mind telling us about, is you making like a wood carving of Waylon Jennings. Is that right?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I had a friend that was carving a statue of Hank Williams. And man, I just couldn't believe it. I thought that was so cool. And he told me, he said, well, you could do this if you wanted to. And I said, well, Lord, I don't know how to start it. He said, well, you go get a block of wood down at your dad's and old 4x4 post. And my dad had a lot of crib blocks in the garage and everything. And he said, you go get one of them and bring it up here, and I'll get you started on doing one of Waylon to see what you can get it done. And I always could draw, I done that a lot back when I was a kid. And so he just had me to bring the wood to him, and he scraped the place off on the corner of it. He said, there's his nose, go after it. And that's how I did it. And I'd never carved anything in my life. And it was really crazy because I guess I maneuvered the knife like you would a pencil or something, but did it in a backward kind of way. I just, instead of add, I was taking away from the wood. And it took me 2 years to carve that thing out. I walked around with that piece of wood. It was like a security blanket, so to speak. I had it everywhere I went. And I really got into it even more when I got in touch with Waylon's office and told them what I was doing, and they started sending me pictures. And so I had some pretty good close-ups, and I used Western catalogs, like Western clothing catalogs and stuff like that to get the jeans and the boots and all that stuff. So I carved him from head to toe, or from hat to toe rather, and put his guitar on him and just carved it all out. And so after I was finished with it, I started in '84 of Labor Day weekend, and actually finished it in '86 Labor Day. And a picture backstage to him, and I ended up getting a phone call a couple of weeks later, and they told me they tried to get in touch with me that night, but I had to get out of the theater because it was another show and I didn't have a ticket for it. And I got contacted about 2 weeks later from his road manager at the time. His name was David Trask, which he manages Ronnie Millsap now, I think. And he asked me, said, are you the Billy Payne that sent a picture backstage in Wheeling, West Virginia? And I said, yes, sir, I am. He said, what? He said, where did you get that? Is it a doll? What is it? I said, no, it's a wood carving. And I said, I want to give it to him. And so we arranged the meeting and everything when he was coming to Kentucky to the Paramount in Ashland. They set it up for me to give it to him. And I pulled a tear out of the outlaw's eye that day. So that was pretty cool. We ended up being instant buddies that day.
Okay. So for you, Billy, we mentioned that, you're in Wayland, and do you still perform are they still around the Waymore Outlaws or?
Oh yeah, they got their own thing, they got their own band, and I work with Jerry Bridges and the guys, when I go in the studio all the time. When every album I go and cut anymore is with them. I've played some shows with them. I've done a small tour with them across the country back in 2007, 2008, and been recording with them ever since. They're great guys, and unfortunately, we lost Richie Albright back in February, and he was Waylon's drummer for a long, long time. Started out with Waylon in Phoenix, and Richie was the heart. say, of Waylon's music. And one of the reasons why Waylon got to be number one in the business, so to speak, because he really had a big role to play in Waylon's sound. But they're still doing their thing. They've got a new drummer now, which is Jerry Bridges' son, Jeff, and Waymore's Outlaws are still out there with Jerry and Bridges and Fred Newell and Barney and Carter Robertson and Tommy Townsend, and they get out there and do their tribute to Waylon that they do, and it's a pretty cool thing. We're talking about going back in the studio in a not too distant future to start another couple projects on me.
Oh, okay. So, I mean, for you, Billy, like we mentioned that, now you're, you've been, songwriter and you write all these songs, but I mean, do you feel that experience and, meeting with Waylon Jennings, I mean, do you feel that influenced you? I mean, do you have a lot of influences when it comes to the developing the songs or?
Oh yeah, I think that's why I write the way I do, because I grew up listening to the guys, the older guys, which in the vein of like Merle Haggard and Johnny Cash and Waylon and Willie and all of them, that era of music. I think you kind of just wad it all up in one little ball, and that's how you become what you do and how you do it, And I think that's how I feel about it, and I think it's why I like the story to really develop in the song, and when you start singing something, they don't get lost in what you're trying to tell them, and but I lean it toward the raising and upbringing those guys had, because I'm not that far from it either, and I think that's helped me as far as them influencing me and the type of songs that they sang or wrote, And I've got a host of singers and songwriters that I'm fond of,
Okay. So, okay, Billy. So I want to talk about these nice songs our audience will be listening to on the audio version of this. And if you don't mind telling us, a little backstory or a little something about each one here. First of all, we have the Ivory Tower. Can you tell us about this one?
I don't really know if it hit the charts or anything. I think it was more or less just doing as filler material. But when they pitched the song to me and I started listening to it, I started liking it a good bit, And good thing I cut it, because it's just been nominated for one of the country song nominations through the Red Carpet Awards in Holland, and under classic traditional country or something like that. And I'm real happy to hear that happen. I never knew it would, but that was just a song that Barney wanted me to do and thought I could do a good job on it. And it has, it's caught the attention of a lot of fans and a lot of people, around the world, it's been playing overseas too.
Okay. Another song we have is Soft Place to Fall. Can you tell us about this one?
Yeah, the first time I ever heard that song was about 20 years ago on the Horse Whisperer movie. And a girl that wrote and sang it with me is Allison Moore. And I just loved the song. Other than that, I never did perform it out anywhere. I just loved the way the song was written and what it was about.
Okay. And another song we have here is I'll Stop Loving You. Could you tell us about this one?
First of all, I'd like to say I wished I'd wrote them, so, but I'm a big fan of songwriters, and Mike Reed, the football player, He brought that song out years ago, and I always liked the drive it had, and what it talked about. So I just wanted to see if I could come up with a pretty good version of it, and so it ended up being a good track on the Maverick Hillbilly CD as well.
Okay. And another one we have is Hottest Thing in Town. Could you tell us about this one?
Yeah, that's the Billy Joe Schaefer song, and the first time I'd ever heard it was Billy Joe, and I started doing that song in the clubs a long time ago, and I I don't know, it was just something that I could relate to, and it was a good hard driving honky tonk song about a woman that just tells a whole lot about her in a little bit of time, but you certainly getting the meaning of it out there when you start singing it, because she's the hottest thing in town by a country mile. So, there's been a lot of them walk through the doors of the club like that too, and it always hits real good with the crowd. So,
Oh, so yeah, those are some of the songs there. So I mean, for you, you've written a certain amount of songs, or I mean, you have so many albums that you've put out, or
yeah, matter of fact, I've got, I think it's 7 that I have, and then like I say, we're working on 8 and 9 right now. To get out there, we're planning on doing 2 new projects, but yeah, I've been recording since 1999, and it's I've just been really fortunate to. I got a small record deal in Nashville and a 1-star search, and started out the record label with Jimmy Case, Aaron Records down there, and he had a good bit of people on the label, like Freddie Weller and Little David Wilkins and Vicky Bird from Heat Hall, and Darnell Miller, and I think Narvel Phelps. Yeah. So, I was in some good company, and it was a good place to get started. And, and he put about 3 singles out on me, and I got 2 top 10s on the independent country charts. One of them with Freddie Weller song called No Limit on Love. It went to number 9 and on the independent country charts. And then I cut an old Chuck Berry song that I'd been playing in the clubs a lot, and it's called Nadine. And I got number 8 on the independent country charts with that. And Chuck was really happy with my version, and so was Freddie with my version of his song. And I've talked to Freddie several times since I cut his No Limit on Love song. He said it just knocks him out every time he listens to it. So I guess I done him good. I hope I did.
oh, so that's pretty cool, Billy, that these guys actually hear the songs and they you get their blessing. So I mean, that must make you feel good. I mean, that must give a different dynamic knowing that they might be out there, who knows, listening to this.
Oh yeah, it makes me feel really good to, because I've always been somebody, if it's not fitting with me, I won't do it, because if it's not touching me, I'm not going to touch anybody else but me. I've been real selective about picking songs. I've always been that way, and if I'm not satisfied with the song that I'm going to do, then I'm going to do something else or change it, which I don't change the structure of the song. And Jerry Bridges has helped me a lot since I've been working with him. He's helped me at times like a song that he wanted me to cut, and I didn't particularly care for it, but then he changed my perspective of it, and helped me. Because I've always been open to suggestions about about the songs, and I get a different feeling for them at times on my own, and I'll throw my idea at him about it, and he'll like it, the way I'm going after it. And I think it's just the I don't call myself an artist, but I think that's what, you have that in you to do that. I like to make the song sound like I wrote it. I mean, it's that I've been carrying around with me forever. And, if I can do that, then I know I'm going to get somebody's attention in the audience. And,
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, as far as performing now, Billy, are you performing or doing any sort of tours or?
well, right now I'm just doing some local stuff because of the COVID-19 crisis. And, this let up a little bit around where I live, but I don't think it's let up enough to where it feels safe, to just go on out there. And so we're trying to just wait and see what's going on. And I've got hopefully some more stuff coming up overseas, um, and across the country. It's kind of just like up in the air right now, you know.
So you mentioned, Billy, that you've gone overseas, and I mean, I don't know if you could describe it, but I mean, is it an interesting feeling? I mean, how is the reception? I mean, everyone wants you back. It seems they really like the music.
Yeah, when I went to Ireland, I went over specifically to play the Phil Mack show, and did some small things, after that to TV and radio, and I got a good welcome. The people were so nice, and they just down to earth people. They love country music. They like uh, all the kind of country music, especially the traditional type. And so I've kind of fell in with their like. They really uh, they really got into the country flavor that I have, so to speak. And Spain's the same way. I mean, it's just a completely different way of liking music over there. It's here where the new stuff is out, and not putting it down or anything like that, but they do not particularly care about that type of music. And so when you going over being country as a corn cob, you got a lot of people like you, and they treated me like I was a superstar over there. And it was really cool.
Oh, well, that's good to hear. And you hope to get back there then, but right now that there's still not a lot of international travel available to do these shows, or.
Yeah, they they're still worried about the virus. I've got some stuff coming up in Germany if I can ever get back over there, and that's one of the last things they had told me, that said, as soon as the COVID thing goes away, we definitely want to do some bookings over here with you. And I think if we can get it straightened out, Mike, I believe it'll be okay. We're hoping and praying anyway.
So, I mean, with your shows, Billy, then you have your own full band as well, then, or?
Oh yeah, I've got my own band right here around home, and I also have a band that's stationed in Ardmore, Oklahoma, and a good bunch of guys. And we haven't got to play with each other for a while because of the COVID thing, of course. And but and I also do one man shows. If I have to do one of those, I'll get it done. And and they work out pretty good. But I had a great bunch of guys that played with me uh, in Ireland when I played over there. I played. I don't know if you've heard of Sarah Joy or not, but she's ranked the best steel guitarist, female gets steel guitarist. I'll get it out in a minute. In the world, and got to play with her and Phil Mack's band, and then the guys that was in Spain, they were waiting on me, and I got there, and man, they put together a great show, they set aside, it was really funny. They set aside all evening for us to rehearse. And they'd been working on songs for like 3 months. And so we go into rehearsal and we kick it off. And exactly 2 hours later, through all the songs, we were done. And they're like, "Do you have any more songs?" And I said, "Well, I got, if y'all want to play some more, but I think we're going to do it all right." And they come together so great with that. They fell right in with me. They knew my sound. They really studied, you know. And the same way with the Phil Max Show's band, you know, they knew what I needed to sound like, and that was really good. I've done a lot of pickup bands over the years, and sometimes you'll get them on that's not quite on the money, but you get it done. But I was really proud of the way those bands represented my music overseas.
Oh, okay. Okay, Billy, I wanted to ask you, a question. You mentioned that you do solo shows and you do, with the full band, but I mean, when you're playing like when a solo show and a full band, is there anything differently you do like for each show? Or I mean, you have to play a different way or different chords, or pretty much you play the same way when you do a solo show and then with the band?
Oh yeah, when I do a solo show, I sit down. I'm more intimate with the crowd. You know, it's and I started sitting down a long time ago just to get the feel of these shows. I've always called them like sit down shows. That's what I call them, because most of the people just sit there and listen to you play, and that helps for the type of shows you do out on the road, like theater shows, and you got different settings, and then you get people to get up and dance. But I mainly just do the same thing I always do. I sing and play my songs, and they really seem to get into it. And I even have a question segment when I'm doing the shows. I'm sitting down and doing those smaller group shows I do for a labor school that has groups come in from all over the world, and I sing to the whole world in one room. It's really cool. People from everywhere that comes in on these groups, and that's helped me out a lot too. To not have to worry about if they're sitting, standing, or dancing. It's just, I think it's helped me to be a better entertainer, honestly, because I've been playing now since oh Lord, if I tell you how long, it'll date me. But I think it's gave me the know-how to handle a crowd and what to do with them. When I'm doing shows, I can tell what song I need to sing next while I'm singing the one I'm doing. And I guess I'm just like any other entertainer, and how to work a crowd. But I've been blessed with being able to do different types of shows that puts me right in the middle of folks.
Oh, so you can, like you mentioned, feel the crowd, switch songs up, so you don't necessarily have a definite playlist that, is what's got to be played. I mean, if you feel, hey, maybe we should switch it up, you can do that on the fly then, huh?
Oh, yes, sir. Yeah. Yeah, I can do about anything I need to do. And there's a lot of times now when I do the sit down shows and I play the one man thing, I'll use my studio tracks. And sorry about that, my dog. My studio tracks are something that I can play the songs along with the track and represent my music the way I did in studio. And it gives an opportunity for them to hear it the way it is on CD. And everything's there except me and my guitar, and I apply that live, And it's a really, really good thing, I think, because I've sold a lot of music like that. And then when I do the shows with the band and everything, it's the same way. It's just a way of representing it. And we always try to stay right there and make it familiar with what it's supposed to sound like.
Oh, great. Okay, Billy, before we go here, we're talking about, the music, and I wanted to give you a chance to tell our audience how they can get, your music, purchase that music. I mean, is there a certain place to go or?
Well, my music is available on all download formats across the country, overseas, all the way around the world. Anywhere you go for downloading music, you can go to billypaynecountry.com and check the music out from the sites there as well. People can write to me, billypayne_country@yahoo.com, or write to me through the website and order it directly from me if they'd like to. But I'm on Amazon, Spotify, iTunes, pretty much everywhere. And so they're available, which you can get the physical CDs as well online, going through those sites because they sell them too through the distributors.
Oh, okay. Now, as far as, do you have like any merchandise or stickers or T-shirts or beer koozies that, any way we could, help support you or walk through downtown Ocoee and say, hey, here's Billy Payne?
Well, I've got T-shirts, I've got ball caps, pictures, and we're getting ready to start dabbling in some koozies and picks. I did have some guitar picks, and which those are really cool, and keychains and magnets, and yeah, it's we're building the website up really well. It's all brand new. The website was just launched about 3 weeks ago. It's got a different look. It's real easy to access everything you want to look at. We are trying our best to make sure people can be accommodated to anything they need on there. And so we're hoping that it's going to work out okay. I'm on Facebook as well. I got a musician site on Facebook under Billy Payne Country, and I have one called Billy Payne Country Music, which is my personal site. And I think that's about it, except for, there's a Billy Payne Tuesday site on Facebook. Every Tuesday they promote my music. Just out of the blue, a lady started doing it. Bless her heart, her name is Belinda Stevens, and she's a really big fan, but she says she believes in me, and she's got a lot of things going for me too, and it works out really well. It's getting bigger and bigger, and we're just trying our best to make sure that anybody can get to me to get my music and everything.
Okay, Billy, we want to thank you so much. We, appreciate your time, and, the music is great, and we encourage everyone to check you out. Any final thoughts or anything else you'd like to mention here?
Well, yeah, Mike, I appreciate you having me on, but I would like to say I've been nominated as well in the Josie Awards coming up next month. That's going to be at Pigeon Forge. And I've been nominated for a song I co-wrote called I Only Miss You When I'm Sober for Song of the Year. And I've been also nominated for Male Traditional Country Artist and Male Classic Country Artist. And that's a biggie for me right there. I never would have dreamed that something I wrote would be nominated for Song of the Year in a big award show like that. But I did have one that I wrote before a couple years ago that was nominated for the Willie Award, the Will Rogers Award in the Academy of Western Artists out west. and it was a song I wrote about spirit of an outlaw, and it was nominated Song of the Year. And so I've been for the last 4 or 5 years, I've been getting a lot of attention and nice nominations. I've just been so blessed to the things that are happening. I just don't know what to think of it. It's overwhelming.
Oh, okay. Thanks so much, Billy. My guest is Billy Payne, a great singer, songwriter, musician, performer from Charleston, West Virginia. And you've been listening to What's Up America with Mike Cara. And please catch us again next time. Okay.